Alright everybody, thank you for coming back. My name is Denny. I am from Kingston, Jamaica, and I am a cinematographer, photographer, and director. So today we are talking about gear, and is it really like that helpful? How does gear actually help you in the filmmaking process, or does it make you a better filmmaker? Maybe not. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so there are 5 things that I think that gear actually help with in the filmmaking process, and these are: 1, better image quality; 2, better audio quality; better light quality; efficiency; and last but not least, the perceived value that clients actually have of you. Alright, so how does gear actually get you a cleaner image? Well, we have cameras nowadays that can literally see in the dark. Man, let's talk about the Sony FX6. This camera, like, its higher end ISO is 12,800. 12,800 ISO. If you haven't seen like review footage of this camera, you probably should check it out, because those are some of the cleanest images I've ever seen on a camera shot at that high of an ISO. Sony is doing some magic literally in these camera bodies, and I have no idea how they're doing it, but it's really super cool. So cameras like that, the Sony FX6 or the Sony A7 III or the A7S III or Mark IVs, these are really good low light capable cameras, and so you can get really clean images if you don't have access to Hollywood style lights, or you only have a limited amount of lights, or you're depending on natural light. You'll still have very good clean images coming out of these cameras if you know how to expose properly, and you kind of work your magic with the exposure triangle, and yeah, you'll get really clean and cool images out of them. Alright, so that's one good way how like having a good camera can actually give you cleaner images. So the next point I want to talk about is light quality. What are we talking about when we talk about light quality? We're talking about the output of the light for one, and 2, the color rendition of the light. So we have a lot of lights now floating around in the market. Some very good offerings from Aperture. Godox is really killing it right now with the VL150, I believe it is, or 200. That whole VL line is really super cool. What they're doing over there at Godox is amazing. The color rendition and the output of these lights have become so well done with the COB lights. That's chip on board lights. If you don't know what that is, it's just a small chip LED technology that they're using these lights nowadays that are really super bright. So these 2 things, the output of the light, can help you to enhance your filmmaking. So say for instance you're doing a horror movie and you need to backlight a whole forest or something, then you're gonna need something with maximum output. So something maybe like a 600D from Aperture, or M18 or M40 to kind of mimic moonlight, and then you can just add a ton of haze and stuff like that, kind of make the atmosphere look really cool. But I'm gonna save that for a different video, how you can actually do night scenes or kind of horror movies or something like that. I'll make a video on that. But the other thing that I'm going to talk about is actually the rendition, the color rendition of the lights. That's so important. How good are the colors that are kind of coming out of these LED lights that we're using today, like the Aperture 120D, which I have right now. That is my key light. This is such a superb light, and the color quality that comes out of this, your skin tone, how it handles skin tones, and the rendition of just like quality colors, how it reproduces colors in the camera. And of course, every camera sensor is gonna see light differently and interpret colors differently, but also you want to pay attention to the color quality of your light. How can you do that? You can look at the CRI values and the TLCI values for your lights. This will give you a good representation of how well your light is. The higher the number, generally the greater and the better quality the light output of that specific light. So that definitely can help you in terms of having good quality lights when you're doing projects, so that you can have good quality colors coming out of your camera and going into post-production for your editor and colors. Alright, so how does having good quality audio gear help in your filmmaking? Well, just imagine if you were collecting your audio from your actors using your onboard camera microphone. That probably would not sound really good, and sound is so important in filmmaking. It's really like a good portion of your film. If you don't have good sound design or capturing good high quality audio, then there's a chance that people may turn away from watching your film. So having a good microphone, like a shotgun microphone, that's like a cardioid or a supercardioid pattern, which basically is just a microphone that rejects sound coming in from the rear of the microphone or sometimes at the side of the microphone. I'll probably do a video about different shotgun microphones or different types of microphones that you can use as a filmmaker to improve your filmmaking. But the long and short of it is that you want to make sure that you have good quality audio for your films and your projects or commercials that you are shooting. Alright, so the next thing I want to talk about is efficiency and how does gear help you be more efficient on set. So imagine if you have a bunch of DIY scrims or a really cheap tripod, maybe a gimbal that can't really manage the weight of the camera that you're using on it, stuff like that. So if you have really good gear, then the time that you actually stay and spend on set can be cut down severely by the equipment that you have. Using a DIY scrim is effective, but the time that it would take to kind of rig it to maybe a C-stand, if you even have access to a C-stand, or if you have somebody who has to Hollywood it, that's like just like having somebody hold the scrim in place or a bounce board or whatever the case may be. Imagine just using something like PVC pipes or something. I've been on sets where I had to jimmy rig some diffusion on like C-stands, and because of the wind we were like filming right next to the we're really on a cliff, and we were right next to the water, so there was a lot of breeze that was coming in, and my diffusion material was just kind of blowing all over the place, and we had to stop a few takes sometimes. So imagine if I had like a 6x6 with combo stands and sandbags and all that stuff, then the time that I spent trying to get that shot would have been cut down significantly because I had the proper gear. Having the proper gear can definitely make your day run so much smoother and more efficient. Alright, so last but not least on the list of what gear actually can do for you in the filmmaking process is the perceived value that people have of you when you show up on set with a camera that looks fully rigged out and big and huge and heavy and looks really expensive. I cannot tell you how many times that I've actually been on sets and people approach me and like, oh my gosh, this looks like a really expensive camera. Like, how much is it? And the investment that you put into your camera to rig it out really kind of sets that perceived notion that you know what you're doing. And it kind of helps. It's not a trick. You're not trying to trick people into thinking that you are some big time filmmaker or whatever, but what works for you on your rig just works for you. I like how my rig is. I love the weight of it and the feel of it. Kind of helps with like shaky handheld movements, kind of makes it a little bit more fluid. I love that about my rig. And so when I'm on set, people just kind of have the idea that I know what I'm doing, which at this point in time I kind of have filmmaking down a little bit, and I'm still learning as I'm growing, and I'm now starting this community. But yeah, like having a proper rig, even if it's like a small camera that you rig out fully. Like I've seen so many people like rigged out their Sony A7 IIIs and their A6300s to kind of look and mimic the feel of a big cinema camera, and then people kind of have that notion that they are like a big professional at what they do. So yeah, that's a good way for people to kind of market themselves as cinematographers and having a rig that kind of makes a statement. So it's really a statement when you're on set and when you're around clients. We talked about the good things about having great gear. Now, on the flip side of that, does gear actually make you a better filmmaker? No, it really doesn't. The reason why is filmmaking is a lot about story building and character building and really understanding what it takes to make a story and bring it to screen. You have to know, if you're a cinematographer, you have to know the importance of light and shadow and how both can actually interact with each other for you to have a cinematic image. You can have all the gear in the world, but it will not make you a better storyteller. You have to have the knowledge and the know-how to do filmmaking and how to use the gear to your advantage. I've seen people who have lit a scene with one light and it looks amazing because they know the time of day is important to their shot. They know how important body movement is to the shot, and they know that the importance of having a good actor can take your film from being mediocre and being super professional. So my final tip is really and truly, as a filmmaker, as a cinematographer or a director, you have to invest your time and skills in the knowledge of filmmaking, how to light a scene, how to develop characters, how to write a proper script, how to develop a plot. And you know, there are different YouTube videos and resources out there on the internet that can help you become a better filmmaker and to tell better stories. So while gear is important and it's like the tools, these are just tools to help you in your filmmaking and to bring your story to the screen, and using quality equipment to give you better sound, to make you more efficient on set, for you to save time, for you to have that perceived value, and to have great audio quality. All these things are so important. However, it's not the most important aspect of filmmaking. It's really the know-how and the knowledge behind the equipment. It's the people who are behind all of these fancy equipments like a techno crane or something, you know, those big equipment that we all would like to use one day in Hollywood or something, as a big DP or whatever the case may be. These are the things that we kind of eyeball and see as the, you know, the gold in the industry, to have all the gear to our disposal. But please remember that story is king, and having a good story is better than having all the equipment that you can use to tell your story. So do more with less and tell more stories, even if it's just using like your iPhone to tell a story. Make sure that it's shot well. Pay attention to pre-production, like planning your shots out, finding out what actors are really good for the roles that you have, and collaborate with different people who have more knowledge than you do. You can't really do everything. This whole one-man band idea is kind of, you know, it's not my thing, and you know, it shouldn't really be yours either. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but you know, having people who are really good at what they do in different areas, when you collaborate to make a project, that project can really soar and take you know, new heights because of the collaborative effort. And you learn so much when you collaborate with other creators. So go out, make some films. Don't focus too much on the gear, and focus on your story and how to build your story, and make sure that you use your gear wisely. And that's gonna wrap this video up for me. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to like, comment, and share this video with a fellow filmmaker, and as we grow and build this community. But that's gonna be it. Thank you. I am Denny, and see you in the next video. Peace out.